Lawyers representing the 18-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse have tried again to request a mistrial. Protesters have gathered outside of the courthouse in Kenosha, Wisconsin, where the jury is deliberating. Sky News Washington correspondent Annalise Nielsen has more.
Jurors in the second day of deliberations in the Rittenhouse trial have focused in on the video evidence, asking the judge to watch a number of videos again. But what's proved the most contentious has been the drone evidence. Kyle Rittenhouse faces multiple charges in relation to the shooting death of two men during the riots in Kenosha, Wisconsin last year. They followed a number of different similar protests around the country after the murder of George Floyd, but the Kenosha riots were specifically started over the shooting of local man Jacob Blake. Kyle Rittenhouse armed himself with an AR-15 and came out to the rioting in Kenosha. The defence says he had the right to do so and acted in self-defence. The prosecution has argued that he put himself in that position and needs to bear the consequences of those actions. This has proved a highly volatile case. The defence has aimed to have two mistrials called. The first in relation to the reading of Kyle Rittenhouse's right to remain silent. That was brought up by the prosecution, which the judge strongly condemned. But today's motion for mistrial was called because of drone video evidence that showed the first shooting. This was given to the jury in a high definition, but to the defence team in a low definition. They say that they weren't given access to critical components of that were likely to sway the jury. Protesters have been gathering outside the courthouse here in Kenosha, Wisconsin, as the jury deliberates. There's been a number of BLM protesters as well as those who aren't supporters of Kyle Rittenhouse, but Kyle Rittenhouse does have his supporters as well. There's been a few scuffles among the crowd, but the media contingent is what's really extraordinary here. You can see that there's a number of crews from around the country and a significant network presence at the back. You can see Fox News as well as other major networks have huge setups here because this has been getting rolling coverage in the United States. The fear, of course, that this ruling could spark further protests and riots like we saw last year. There aren't as many windows boarded up or even damage left over from those riots last year, but there are 500 National Guard on standby in anticipation that this could spark further tensions. Annalise Nielsen, Sky News, Kenosha, Wisconsin.